What's up, everybody? It's Ashley Simone, and I'm back with another video. Today I'm just gonna leave the camera rolling. I'm not really gonna edit anything unless things get a little bit too lengthy, but honestly, this discussion we're having today is honestly something that there's no amount of time for this discussion. Like, it's so much to unpack that it's infinite. I'm gonna talk about being a Black person in America, and if that makes you want to leave this video, then I guess you're a racist and you can go. I wouldn't want subscribers like that anyway, because we're all about positivity over here anyways. So yeah, that's what this video is gonna be about today. I'm actually quite sad. I think I need to make this video because my heart has been so, heavy with everything that's been going on. I just really feel bad for those families. I can only imagine losing a family member for nothing, for an alleged something that was proven that wasn't even real. So yeah, I kind of decided I was going to do this video because I was going to give you guys another hair video, and I just couldn't. I couldn't edit it. I didn't want to edit it. I haven't left my house in like 3 days. My parents are wondering why, and for me it's just like, it doesn't feel safe to leave my house right now, because I wasn't feeling that way before all of this, but not even this one, it just all has been hitting home. Like, you can't do anything. Any of those people could have very well been me, been my family, God forbid, but I keep them prayed up. But George Floyd's family probably prayed for him. Breonna Taylor's family probably prayed for her, and Ahmaud Arbery's family probably prayed for him. And I'm not saying prayer doesn't work. I'm just saying sometimes evil prevails, and we have to continue praying about it and combating it. And we need to continue protesting and doing what we have to do, doing our due diligence to, fight these injustices that happen, because it really, truly shouldn't be happening in 2020. But, we say this, but at the same time, integration only happened less than 100 years ago, significantly less than 100 years ago. Can I really be surprised that in 2020 we're still in the same place? I should be, because I thought humans were better than that. But as far as how soon slavery and integration and lynchings and all kinds of craziness were, when I think about that, I'm like, am I really surprised at this? No, that was probably, honestly, there's modern day lynchings, not even the killing of Black men and women on the streets, but like literally people are most likely still being lynched, and we just don't hear about it because the media only covers things that make us look bad, especially in these situations. But like I said, I can't unpack, I didn't say it. I'm not going to unpack the entire situation or the entire subject of Black Lives Matter, racism, prejudice. I can't bear that burden alone, and I definitely can't take it on by myself. It's such a huge subject, like I said, to unpack, that it would be impossible to just sit here and talk about it. It would be exhausting, and I'd never get it done. I want you guys to know that I am not here to argue with anybody, and I won't be arguing with anybody. You can comment what you want. I can't stop you, It's a free country. Just like we have the right to protest, you have the right to comment what you want. I'll reply to positive comments, but any negative comments, I don't have time to argue with you. I'm going to protect my peace. If you have questions or you want to know about white privilege, I've taken classes on that kind of stuff, so I can explain it to you if you don't understand. But make sure when you ask me, you're coming with an open mind, because some things are hard to hear, but they're the truth. Again, I'm not here to argue with anybody, and I'm seeing people go out and protest, and they're getting rubber bullets shot into their eye, even though they're meant to be shot onto the ground to ricochet and hit people. Even then, it's still kind of, why? But yeah, before I even start the content that I intend for this video to entail, which is me talking about my experience with the police in hopes that maybe my experience will open somebody's eyes, I'm going to start off by reading a list of names that I have been seeing circulate. Granted, you'd have to multiply this number probably by like 100 to fully encompass all of the African American lives lost due to police brutality and racism, but I feel like reading their names and saying their names, there's power in that, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I hope you're here to listen with me and you say a silent prayer for each person's family, because they're probably still struggling with the death in their family no matter what year it was. Michael Lorenzo Dean, Eric Reason, Christopher McCorvey, Stephen Day, Christopher Whitefield, Tatiana Jefferson, Maurice Hawley, Jordan Michael Griffin, Nicholas Walker, Benny Branch, Byron Williams, Arthur Walton Jr., Shanera Tom Feep, Patricia Spivey, Stephen Murray, Ryan Twyman, Dominique Clayton, Isaiah Lewis, Kevin Leroy Beasley Jr., Julius Graves, Marcus McVie, Marzuz Scott, Bashar Hassan, Kevin Bruce Mason, Mario Clark, Jimmy Atchison, Dietrich Griffin, George Robinson, Andre Horton, Jesse Jesus Quentin, Marlon Edward Summermore, Charles D. Roundtree Jr., Chinedu Valentine Okibo, Anton G. Black Jr., Daryl Richard, Botham Jean, James Leatherwood, Joshua Harvey, Christopher Okamoto, Cynthia Fields, Rashawn Washington, Anthony Green, Antoine Rowe II, Robert Lawrence White, Marcus David L. Peters, Terrence Carlton, Juan Jones, Danny Thomas, Stephen Clark, Trey Pringle Sr., Ronell Foster, Corey Mobley, Arthur McAfee Jr., Geraldine Townsend, Warren Ragudo, Thomas Yatsko, Dennis Plowden, Jean Pedro Pierre, Kieta O'Neill, Lawrence Hawkins, Calvin Toney, Dubois Lister, Armando Frank, Stephen Gale, William Matthew Holmes, Anthony Ford, Charles David Robinson, Devin Howell, Herbert Gilbert, Thomas Williams, Aries Clark, Antonio Garcia Jr., Brian Easley, Yuri Martin, DeJuan Guillory, Aaron Bailey, Joshua Crawford, Mark Davis, Adam Trammell, Jimmy Sanders, Derico Holden, Mark Adkins, Tashi Brown, Jordan Edwards, Roderick Taylor, Kenneth Johnson, Christopher Wade, Alterio Woods, Sharita Davis, Lorenzo Antoine Cruz, Raynard Burton, Quanice Hayes, Chad Robertson, Jerome Keith Allen, Nana Adomako, Marquez Warren, DeAndre Phillips, Sabine Jones, Darian Barnhill, J.R. Williams, Muhammad Abdul Muhaymin, Jamal Robbins, Marlon Lewis, Richie Lee Harbison, Lamont Perry, Roy Lee Richards, Alfred Olango, Tawan Boyd, Terrence Crutcher, Tyre King, Lavania Riggins, Kendrick Brown, Donnell Thompson Jr., Dalvin Hollins, Delron Small, Sherman Evans, Daravis Rogers, Antoine Schumpert, Ollie Lee Brooks, Michael Eugene Wilson Jr., Vernell Bean Jr., Jessica Williams, Arthur Williams Jr., Lionel Gibson, Charlin Charles, Kevin Hicks, Dominique Silva, Robert Dentmond, India M. Beatty, Tori Lamar Robinson, Peter William Gaines, Artier Porter, Keontae Deshaun Spencer, Christopher J. Davis, Thomas Lane, Paul Gaston, Colleen Devontae Roquemore, Deshaun Perkins, David Joseph Wendell Celestine Jr., Antrani Scott, Peter John, Keith Childress, Betty Jones, Kevin Matthews, Michael Knoll, Leroy Browning, Miguel Espinal, Nathaniel Pickett, Cornelius Brown, Tiara Thomas, Richard Perkins, Jamar Clark, Alonzo Smith, Anthony Ashford, Dominic Hutchinson, Lamontez Jones, Rayshawn Cole, Patterson Brown Jr., Junior Prosper, Keith Harrison McLeod, Wayne Wheeler, Levante Biggs, India Kager, James Carney III, Felix Kumi, Mansour Balbay, Ashams Manley, Christian Taylor, Troy Robinson, Brian Day, Samuel Dubose, Darius Stewart, Albert Davis, Salvado Ellswood, George Mann, Freddie Blue, Jonathan Sanders, Victor LaRosa III, Spencer McCain, Kevin Bajoy, Chris Jacksons, Kevin Higginbottom, Rose Anthony, Richard Gregory Davis, D'Angelo Reyes Stallworth, DeJuan Graham, Brendan Glenn, Reginald L. Moore Sr., David Felix, William Chapman, Norman Cooper, Daryl Lawrence Brown, Walter Scott, Eric Courtney Harris, Donald Ivy, Philip White, Jason Moland, Denzel Brown, Brandon Jones, Ascari Roberts, Bobby Gross, Terrence Moxley, Anthony Hill, Tony Terrell Robinson, Nashilis Vincent, Charlie Cunang, DeAndre Dorsey, Thomas Allen Jr., Calvin A. Reed, Terry Price, Laval Hall, Natasha McKenna, Jeremy Lett, Tiano Metten, Artago Damon Howard, Andre Lerone Murphy Jr., Leslie Sapp II, Brian Pickett, Jerome C. Reed, David Andre Scott, Dennis Grisby, Romaine Brisbane, Eric Ricks, Tamir E. Rice, Akai Gurley, Kiara Crowder, Tanisha N. Anderson, Raphael Thomas, John T. Wilson III, Caldrick Donald, Michael Ricardo Minor, Adam Ardette Madison, Von Durrett D. Myers Jr., Eretha Lilly, Valentine Mbegu, Lashano J. Gilbert, Marlon S. Woodstock, Oliver Jared Gregoire, Eugene Williams, Cameron Tillman, Ricky D'Angelo Hinkle, Darian Nathaniel Hunt, Cortez Washington, Vimicio Woodard, Arvell Douglas Williams, Lavon Leroy Love, Corey Lavert Tanner, Dante Parker, Ezell Ford, Dustin Keith Glover, Michael Brown, John H. Crawford III, Jeremy Lake, Cedric Stanley, Ja'Cory Calhoun, Briate McDuffie, Eric Garner, Charles K. Goodridge, Christopher Jones, Jerry Brown, Lavon King, Juan May, Emmanuel Jean Baptist, Mark Anthony Blocker, Montez Dwayne Hambrick, Tommy J. Yancey Jr., Jonathan Lee Asuzu, Howard Wallace Bowe Jr., Dominique Franklin Jr., George V. King, Justin Griffin, Tyrone Davis, Gregory Lewis Towns Jr., Zacharias Flint, DeAndre Lloyd Starks, Willie Neal Harden, Halise Kinsey, Floyd Jean Hodge, Trayon Johnson, Yvette Smith, Ernest Satterwhite, Anthony Bartley, Willie James Sams, Anestin Joseph, Jordan Baker, Jeffrey Ragland, Kendall Alexander, Samaran Lamar Lamb, Irvin Edwards, Willie James Williams, Abdul Kamal, William Alfred Harvey III, William Taylor, Brandon Devon Smith, Reginald Williams Jr., Jack Lamar Robertson, Elijah Glay, Alexander Jamar Marion, Jonathan A. Farrell, Marlon Horton, Ronnie Ledesma Jr., Montrell Moss, Jeffrey B. Lilly Jr., Jermaine McBean, Alan Desdunes, Ryan L. Stokes, Larry Eugene Jackson Jr., Daynell Simmons, Diomaine Heyman, Tyrone West, Daryl Blair, Antonio Johnson, George Harvey, Micah Anthony Key, Lana Morris, Keoshia L. Hill, Bill Jackson, Julian Dawkins, Terry Lafitte, Jermaine Darden, Marlon Brown, Kendra Diggs, Dion Flood, Clifton Armstrong, Fred Bradford Jr., Craig Demps, Dason Peters, Dylan Samuel Peters, Russell Lydell Smith, Willie Lee Bingham Jr., Clinton Roe Bexar Allen, Charles A. Baker Jr., Anthony Dwayne Harris, Donovan Thomas, Javis Benjamin, Quintine Barksdale, Cedric Chapman, Daryl Banks, Xavier Tyrell Johnson, Yolanda Thomas, George Floyd. And I'm going to add my own. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin. I didn't even see those on the list. So you can imagine how many more there probably are. So I'd like to take a moment of silence for those families. I'm personally going to just pray over them in my moment of silence. It's probably only going to be 10 seconds, but whatever you'd like to do, you should do so. Amen. Getting on to my part. I don't even know how long this video is going to be because it probably took a long time to read them all off. But don't really care how long it was. They deserve to have their names said at least once, even if it's by just me. So as for the story for me and my experience with the police, I guess I should start off by saying if you are a Black person watching this, you can probably relate to having been, you've experienced racism, you've experienced prejudice, and we shouldn't have to, because we're regular people just like everyone else, and we just want to live our lives, and we've contributed to America, we've contributed to the world. Technically we built America. If you look back, that's an actual fact. That's not how the world is right now. So I've definitely experienced racism myself. I've been followed around my local Walmart being called the N-word, and people covered in Confederate flags were following me. We've had people with Confederate flags on their trucks tailgate us. So people have their different ways of letting us know that they don't think we belong here, but we'll always feel the way we do. I will always feel the way I do, and I belong in this country. My dad fought for me to be able to be alive in this country. No matter what race you are, he fought for you to be in this country, alive and well and living free of war. I deserve to be here just as much as anybody else. I guess that's really all I have to say as far as racism. We all of us Black people, I can speak for my culture, we've definitely experienced it. So for me, my first ever seeing of police brutality was the Trayvon Martin case. It was very sad to see George Zimmerman just got free and started selling the weapon he killed Trayvon with online. So that tells you how he felt about the whole thing. He has no remorse, but I think God has a special place for people who are racists, and I know I'll never be there, because that's not who I am. I have a lot of love in my heart for everybody. But, people like that, he has a special place for you. But yes, my first experience was with Trayvon when Trayvon Martin passed away. Or, correction, I don't even want to pacify it because I'm going to be very blunt in this video. When Trayvon Martin was murdered, and his killer ran free. And that was allowed by a country that claims they want to protect us. My own personal experience, I really had only one negative experience with the police that I can recall, because ever since then I've had a very strong fear of them and I avoid them at all costs. So if you know anything about me, if I see the police across the street, I get really nervous. I kind of start shaking. I can't stop mentioning them. I'm like, look at those police. We need to get away from the police. I don't want to be around the police. I definitely avoid them at all costs. They're probably one of my biggest fears. I'd probably rather be in a pit of snakes rather than be in a room full of police officers. I don't think all police officers are bad, so please don't hit my comments with that. I shouldn't even have to say that, because I've never said that they're all bad. Most people are not. They're saying that bad seeds can pollute the whole batch, which is true. So yes, there's quite a bit that are bad, and African Americans, another fact for you, we have a higher chance of dying in interactions with police. And you can go Google it if you'd like it to be proven to you. So yes, on to the actual story. I'm going to try to recall it straight from memory. I've written essays about it. I wrote one essay about it in a class I took, but I use my phone to record, so I can't really access that right now. And honestly, that story kind of makes me cry. So I'm going to try to tell you guys my experience in as much detail, probably as quickly as possible for me, so I have less time of distress. And yeah, it's just my experience, and I hope that you can take it and learn from it, and I hope maybe I can inspire somebody who doesn't feel they need to go and protest or speak out against what's going on, or they don't feel they need to donate or petition. I hope I can push you over that ledge and you'll do it. So I don't really remember the year. I think my brain has been trying to kind of push it out of memory, because it's pretty traumatic to say it was kind of honestly such a short span of time. But I think it happened in 2018 when I came home for winter break from college. That was right after high school, and you know, as a Black person, I shouldn't feel the need. As a Black person, I shouldn't feel like I have to tell you how qualified I am to have not deserved this. I just simply don't deserve it. I shouldn't have to tell you what I was wearing, because regardless of what I'm wearing, I still didn't deserve it. But I'm going to tell you what I was wearing anyways, because I could say a lot of reasons for why the cop didn't pull a trigger at me, but really the main reasons I can come up with is God and the fact that I was wearing a high school Letterman, and something about that was just like, I wouldn't want to harm a kid in high school, but they still do it anyways in other places. So it was 2018 during winter break after I came home from college. My mom, as I think I've said before, is a real estate agent, and she sells houses all over Texas. So one day she wanted me and my brother to come with her to clear out a house because she knew the family and somebody had passed away. And so we were gonna clean out their house and then sell it for the family. So that was one less thing they had to think about. That was our intention. So the house was in Katy, Texas. I don't really know much about Katy. I just know the neighborhood we were in was very white. And it had a few Black people, which we spoke to everybody. I would say it was middle-class houses, if I remember correctly. I don't really remember the neighborhood or anything like that. But I do remember my encounters there. So my mom was going, you know, door to door to all the neighbors, greeting them, letting them know she was in the neighborhood, with the assumption that they probably knew their neighbor had passed away because he probably hadn't been there for a while. But regardless, we were very friendly to all the people in the neighborhood. Yet another thing I feel the need to tell you, even if I was rude to the people in the neighborhood, it wouldn't really matter. You don't call the police on people. But I'm gonna get there. So all day after we spoke to, you know, some of the neighbors, we started cleaning out the house, and we'd been cleaning from morning until literally, I think it was like 8 or 9 p.m. and just cleaning the house. I think we were about to leave. We were doing the last touches. We had swept all the cobwebs and stuff that were in the house, all of that good stuff. The house was clean finally. We were really happy. We had just eaten dinner in the house. We were packing up the house to leave, to go home, back to Dallas. And my mom sent me to the car to go, you know, put some stuff in because we're all packing up. So, you know, I leave the front door open. My brother is about to leave. He drives, you know, a red car, so you know, it's a very bright color. So that usually, I've heard from different African Americans that driving like a red car kind of makes you a target because it's a more bold color and just makes you look more suspenseful, I guess. I don't really know why. So yeah, he was in his car. And there's a reason I mentioned that. I'll get to it though. Like I was saying, I go to my car, or my mom's car, which she drives a very nice car. She drives a Mercedes Benz. Yet another reason all of this was such a strange occurrence. And yeah, as I'm putting the stuff in the trunk and about to take my hands out, I just hear police sirens everywhere. 3 cars are coming towards the house, you know, lights blazing, all of that stuff. And I'm kind of like, that's a little strange. I wonder who they're going to like get in this neighborhood. This neighborhood isn't a bad neighborhood. I don't understand why somebody would send the police out here. So I see the cars coming down the street, and I'm a little like just wondering why they're there, you know. I've never done anything that warrants arrest. In my life, I've literally never been like around police officers because I was in any kind of trouble. Like I've never gotten in trouble. I've always been a pretty good student and everything. So, you know, I see police cars and I'm like, okay, well, they're not bothering me because I'm not doing anything. Continue minding my business. Next thing I know, I just hear their brakes squeak. But this is when it kind of blacks out for me, because when you're terrified, it's like you don't remember anything except the beginning and the end. But I was able to put the pieces together over the years. So basically what happened is the police officers pull up and they just all jump out of the car. I have like it's 3 cop cars, and they're all pointing their guns at me. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, but when you know you're innocent, you're just like in disbelief. Like, that's the best word I have for it, is I was in utter disbelief. I was reaching my hand in the car, and he told me to put my hands up. And I didn't hear him the first time he said it, because I was like, he's not talking to me. He must be talking to somebody that is on the street, and I just can't see them. So let me mind my business and grab the stuff out the car so I can go back in the house and be away from it all. And then he said, put your hands up. And so I look over, and I'm like, me? And he's like, yes, you, put your hands up. So, of course, my hands are up. And you just see, I know they saw literally the fear in my face, because I think I looked like petrified. I've always hated guns. I don't really like being around them. I'm fine with people who want to have them. You want to have your guns, go ahead. Just don't harm kids and stuff, and schools. But guns have always just kind of terrified me. I don't really like the super loud noise of guns is really what bothers me the most, and the fact that they can just take a life so quickly as if it is God, and it's not. So I'm not a big fan of guns. So I'm petrified. They're pointing. There's like literally, I think it had to be 4 or 5 officers pointing guns at me, and I'm like, I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? So I have my hands up, and he said, we got a call that there has been an armed robbery here. And I was like, huh? Like, I literally, if there wasn't even, I don't even know how many words came. I don't remember that part. I haven't been able to figure it out over the years, what I said back to him, because I don't know. I just know, I remember saying, huh? And I don't really remember anything else from there. It was just kind of like, what are you talking about? There's no armed robbery going on here. He said, yeah, they said it's going on at this address. And I'm like, sir, my mom's a real estate agent. I'm like, sir, my mom's a real estate agent, and we were sent here to clear out a house, so that's what we're doing. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, she's a real estate agent. Like, I think there was a sign in the car. I might have looked at it, and I was like, there's, a sign. My mom's a real estate agent. She can tell you everything. And, mind you, my brother is sitting in his car behind me. And so, I'm concerned that he's going to step out of his car or jump out and be like, hey, leave my sister alone. Then they're going to attack him. So, I'm trying to keep everything calm and, not be scared or call for help or anything. And I'm praying my mom does not look out the window. Like, I'm praying she doesn't look out the window, because if she does, she's going to sprint outside. Yeah, they're still pointing the guns at me. I don't remember how long it was. I think he saw the fear in my face, the pure terror on my face, especially me having to live through, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, all of those deaths. I bear those with me. I always remember them. So that channeled the fear that was on my face. And I think when you see somebody so terrified, you're just like, there's no way they could have done what people are saying they did. And I thank God that officer was just like, y'all, I don't know what's going on here, but that whatever the neighbor said is not it. So he told them all to put their guns down. And I remember there was like a white officer, and she had her gun up a little bit longer. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's tripping. Like, that's really what we all think when these situations happen. Like, you're tripping, like, calm down. It's like she wanted me to have done something, but I didn't. I was so terrified that I had my hands up constantly, and he told me to walk over to the car, and he told me to put my hands on the car or something like that. It was, I don't even remember. I honestly, you guys, I'm trying to remember, and I really, it's very hard, but I think I remember putting my hands on the car and walking over to him slowly, because that's what he wanted me to do. I think I was interacting with the police with my hands up probably for like a minute, and they wanted me to walk over to them and stuff. And even when he told me I could put my hands down, I didn't. Like, they were just stuck in the air. I was in complete survival mode, and they were asking me questions, and they were about to go in the house. All I can remember is, like, the most I remember is the part where I'm protecting those I love, because when I love people, I love really hard. So I love my family. I didn't tell them I didn't do anything literally until I was done telling them where my family was. I said, my mom, she's a real estate agent. She's in the house. She has something black in her hand. My brother is in the car behind me. And then once I said my mom has something black in her hand, it clicked in my head. And I was like, my mom has something black in her hand. It's like a measuring, like remote. I don't know what you call it. It's for her to measure the house, you guys. Like, we don't own guns. Like, we don't have guns. So, you know, you don't have to worry about her. She doesn't have anything in her hand. It's a black remote. Like, I just remember specifically telling them, probably I kept repeating it 15 times. Like, my mom has a black remote in her hand. My mom has a black remote in her hand. And as I'm saying all of that, my mom is like, she's still in the house. And I think the police go in and get her, and they talk to her a little bit. And she was probably frightened, because imagine being in your house minding your business and you have armed police there. But yeah, she comes out of the house and she's like, "Are you okay, Ashley?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And in the moment, yeah, I was fine, you know. I don't think I ever processed it until I took classes about racism and stuff, and I realized what it was that caused the situation and what it might have been that caused them to have their guns just ready. And I really thank God that I'm still alive today and everything. And I knew he had my back, but I can only imagine what it feels like to be on the end of the gun, and there's somebody highly prejudiced causing you, like, I can only imagine being in that situation and somebody's provoking me, trying to make me mad, and I have to keep my patience. And even if I keep my patience, I gotta put my hand on the car. And even if I put my hands on the car peacefully, you're still gonna freaking practically break my arm trying to put it behind my back and handcuff me for literally nothing, for something you think I did that you haven't investigated, that you don't know if I did. I can only imagine all of those factors just coming into play, and you having to remain calm through the whole thing, and yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, all of that. I can only imagine. I feel terrible for those families, because my own experience, though I might be minimizing it, though it may be small to me compared to all the other Black people who've had interactions with police, you know, that still taught me a lot in that situation. So being on the other end of the gun is definitely terrifying. I don't think I've ever been more scared in my life. Even animals can't scare me that much. So yeah, we went home that night, and we didn't really even talk about it. We just got in the car, and my mom asked me what the heck happened, and I was like, I don't freaking know. Did the police tell you anything? And she told me that it turned out it was the neighbor all day who didn't really want to talk to us. They didn't answer their door even though they were home earlier in the day, and we just kind of like, we brushed it off. We were like, maybe they don't want to be bothered. But it turned out it was that neighbor that called the police. And it was very obvious, because they were, my mom was telling me, like, they were looking through the window the whole time, during the police interaction. That's pretty much why I have a big fear of them today. Of course, I respect them. I have to, if I want to live. And of course, I know not all of them are bad. I never even thought all of them were bad after that. It was just, really, all right, really, lady? Like, she was a white lady, and she called the police on me because she saw Black people going in and out of a house. Mind you, there's a Mercedes there. Like, I don't know what kind of people rob. I don't live in that kind of neighborhood. I don't live in that kind of area. But I don't think they drive in Mercedes when they're robbing a house. She called the police on some Black people she saw going in and out of a house all day. And I'm just like, why did you wait until nighttime to call them? Did your husband just come home and he was like, they're armed robbers? And who told, where could she have possibly seen a gun? Because we didn't even take anything out of the house that even looked remotely like a gun. Like, the stuff we were taking out was furniture and chairs and brooms and food. So and spray bottles and cleaning supplies. Like, what could you have possibly thought was incriminating about us? But I know it's this right here. This was what incriminated me that night, enough for her to call the police and, have a gun pointed at my head and pretty much scar me for life. So that's my experience with the police. That's when I realized how bad, like, racism really is in America, because, like, the fact that my skin color caused you to call the police and tell them I was armed, that could have gone a lot worse in a lot of different situations. That really could have gone a lot worse. It could have gone worse for me because I truly didn't hear them when they were telling me to put my hands up. I had no idea what they were saying. I wasn't even paying attention because, you know, we're always taught to, like, not ignore the police literally, but if the police are doing something around you, you mind your business. So I was minding my business as I was, you know, always taught, you know. And even with the police, I was telling them, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. As for the lady that was the officer that was telling you, you know, she kind of held her gun a little bit longer than I felt like she really needed to. And she kept her hand on her gun, like, the whole time she was interacting with us. She really questioned us a bunch. She kept asking us the same questions over and over again, you know. It was just very suspicious of us for no reason. They could have searched the entire house. They could have searched my car. They just could have searched my brother's car, and they wouldn't have found anything illegal whatsoever. And I put that on everything. They would not have found a single thing that was illegal that belonged to us. And I guess I will close this video with just telling you kind of what being black is like. Being black is basically, you know, feeling the need to define who you are before telling somebody that, you know, you encounter the police negative and it was a negative experience. Like, you feel the need to tell people about all of your qualifications as if that should be the reason that somebody's like, oh yeah, there's no way you could have possibly done it. There's lawyers who are serial killers, I'm sure. So being black is, you know, walking in a store and seeing people stare at you and knowing that it's most likely because you're black. And like walking in a Whole Foods and, you know, people are looking at you and you know it's because you're black. Like, you don't belong here. I've never seen people like you here. Being black is having to work 2 times harder than everybody else. That is very true. A lot of schools don't have a lot of resources for diverse people. Luckily, my school does pride itself on diversity, so they try their best. Their programs like help a lot. And honestly, being black is always having to be aware of your color if you want to be safe. That's really what it is. You're always gonna have to be worried about yourself. You're always gonna have to be worried about your family. I have an older brother. I have a father. Being black is, you know, it's difficult. It's very difficult. I would never call it a burden. I love being black. I love being black and beautiful. I love my melanin and, you know, the color of my skin. But it's a heavy load to carry your entire life. I will say that. So that's why I always tell people to be, you know, very weary of what they're doing as a non-black person. To add some positivity to the video, because this is a very loaded topic and a very heavy topic, you know, I've been seeing police march with people. I think that's very beautiful. We need more love in the world, and we need more people, you know, standing by our side. I'm so happy to see white people marching with black people. I know it happened, as we say back in the day. It happened when black people were marching for civil rights and everything, but not to the magnitude it is now. But I also want to caution everybody that you need to be careful about what you're doing while you're marching. If you're a non-black ally, you need to make sure that you're not causing any violence, because it's always going to reflect that badly on us. They're going to highlight you and be like, look how much good they're doing, you know, by marching with the black people. But then they're going to be like, the black people started looting and rioting. The black people started destroying cars and setting them on fire and blowing them up. While we're on that topic, there's also police officers doing it, and it's been proven. So I just want to spread awareness to that. And if you're going to protest as a non-black person, please don't cause any drama or trouble. Just listen to the person that's leading the protest and make sure it remains peaceful. And even then, you still may get tear gassed, and for that I'm sorry. It comes with the territory, honestly, unfortunately, but that's the truth. So imagine how we feel every day when you have these experiences. I'm really glad to see how much good is being done. Now I'm just ready for some legislature. Or I don't really do politics too much, you know. I do my voting and stuff, don't get me wrong, but I just really don't know that much about, like, you know, legislature and executive branch and all that stuff. But I believe we need them to sign some legislature stating that, you know, there needs to be more rules placed on police. There needs to be some kind of laws placed on them, because who checks the police? Clearly not judges. You've seen so many people get away. I know you've seen it. There's no way you're just ignoring that. And if you haven't seen it, you can Google it. Police that got away with murdering black people. I hope everybody is having, you know, is coping with this current situation as best as they can. Remember that it's okay to take social media breaks. Some days I have to stay off Twitter right now because tweet after tweet after tweet is about the protests and just seeing people get tear gas. It's okay to take breaks because you need to take a breath, but you also need to stay aware. So maybe I can't even tell you look at news articles because they make us look bad. So find a credible resource that maybe you can trust and read off of that. My advice to anybody wanting to help or not knowing how to help, you can go protest peacefully. You can sign petitions. You can donate money to bail funds, and you can donate to organizations. You can do a follow. You can do a repost. All of those are great things. Follows and reposts of like those organizations on Instagram and stuff. I would say follow that up with the signing of a petition or a donation or something supplemental to it to make your contribution even more, because while getting the word out is very important, I also think signing petitions takes you just the same amount of time as it did for you to repost. But I hope everybody is living well and still surviving this pandemic. It's crazy that all of this is going on in the midst of a pandemic, and our government has found resources quicker to harm us than to help us. That's pretty much all I have to say on the issue. I just felt like this video needed to be made so I could be free of the weight that I feel has been on my chest from that situation from 2 years ago, and having not told that many people just because I don't even know. I guess I minimized it in my head. I felt like it didn't matter that much, and nobody would really like think it was relevant or important to talk about. But I see now that it is, and I want everybody to know that their voice matters. I never felt like mine didn't. It was more so of a, kind of a scared to talk, because that's also another part of being Black. I hope everybody has a good day. Remember to sign petitions, donate, repost things that you see, and support your brothers and sisters, because we all love you. And, the love you put into the world is what you get back. Stay mentally healthy. Stay strong during this pandemic. Stay strong during the protests. Keep fighting the good fight. And remember, Black Lives Matter. 3 a.m.